Amber, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Paul. Nice to see you as always.
Always pleasure.
Yeah, so it's an exciting round two today of our EIRs doing their first presentations live.
Absolutely. It's going to be
Yeah,
excellent, I think.
yeah, I think so. Well, we have a pretty high bar. We had some really awesome presentations on Tuesday, and I was really impressed. We've had a bit of unfortunate news. One of our EIRs had a big break-in actually, and lost all of his computer equipment at his home, and so he's extension's not going to be able to, unfortunately, join us today, and he's dealing with police officers and trying to figure all that out. So he
Oh, no.
extended his warm wishes to the rest of the EIRs, and he's looking forward to presenting in the future. But on a bright side for him, we have been able to get some technology that is going to really help him out. So there's an app that we're going to be able to, I think, help him get his idea into the market and start testing it a lot faster.
Cool.
So hopefully that replaces a little bit of the challenge he's going through. Hopefully, so we were back and forth earlier today, and I'm excited about him getting back on track once he's back with us.
For sure. Yeah. Well, I hope that
Um,
everything's okay with him, and I'm looking forward to him getting back and working with him because what he's doing is awesome.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I think it's a great project for anybody that doesn't know. He's basically looking to connect up uh, small businesses with consumers in a much more convenient and streamlined way using an app. So you can go in and rate, and it will have the ability to sort of just order services on demand, and they arrive at your doorstep. So yeah, awesome idea. Obviously, well needed, very modern, very on point, and we've got a app built out, like the infrastructure of an app built out that he can actually basically retool and hopefully be able to start to test this idea out and then modify it and grow from there. So that's
Awesome.
cool. Okay, so we still have a number of EIRs that are ready to go. Actually, one other update. Hamza is not going to be he's not going to be doing his presentation today either. He's working on his prototype, and he's worried about revealing it. So he doesn't want to reveal it yet because it's that impressive. I think he's working with Susahosh on some of the technology that he's incorporating, but he's going to keep it a surprise, and I guess we're gonna have to wait on that one. So I told him, okay, well, that's your call, but you want to take advantage of these opportunities, but at the same time, I respect the fact that he's very committed to staying the course with getting the prototype done before he reveals any of it or shares any of the presentation with us.
Yeah. What's the longest you've ever actually run a company in stealth for?
Interesting question. How long is the longest I've run a company in stealth? Well, this company has been running sort of in stealth. Like we haven't really publicized what we're doing yet,
Yeah.
and we've been doing it for a few months now. So maybe this is the longest. I so most of the stuff that I like to work on. Well, it depends on when we pick a start date. So a lot of times, if I'm working on something, it may take me months or even years before I actually, sort of get it to a point where I actually think it's worth trying to commercialize at some level.
Yeah.
So I think I tend to sometimes try to turn hobbies into businesses, or at least that's sort of been my mode of operations over the last couple of years. That being said, I don't really think of them as in stealth mode because I don't think it's like there's really nobody that knows other than maybe myself and one or two other people. So it's almost more like just unknown. Like it's not. I don't even think that's exactly the same because I think a lot of times when I think of stealth mode, it's like a company with like a team or the founders that are sort of you know all in on and focused on that project, and they're building it and they're operating it. They're just not revealing it to anybody,
Yeah.
right? So it's a little bit of a different thing. But what about you? What's been your experience with stealth mode?
I think it was about 20 or 22 months that we were like
Wow.
actively out. We were shopping, we were doing BD, we were building, we were doing all of that. But like it was in the telecom space. So very
Oh, cool.
competitive, very kind of it was a recommendation that was just like, yeah, just like maybe we need to cloak and dagger this a little bit just because, breakthrough tech on that side is it's pretty vicious when you're dealing with guys like Comcast or any of the large
Mm,
telecoms, pretty much in any country, right? They have tons of
yeah,
money and they tend to be a little bit ruthless. So that was a
yeah.
recommendation from our advisors, but like, it's very unsatisfying. It's like, well, what are you working on right now? It's like, oh, it's so good. Like, it makes me so happy. It's so cool, and like, I can't tell you anything.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, that's a good point. I think a lot of the reason why we do a project under the radar is so that we don't have to, get basically get the competitors, you know, fast following what we're trying to do, right? And
Yeah,
so, yeah, that's the best reason, obviously, to sort of stay under the radar. But um, you know, there's like obviously there's different strategies. It just depends on what you're working on, I guess. But I always feel like offense is the best defense. I guess that's probably the way to say it.
yep.
But I think that a lot of times it's like, well, if you could be really aggressive with getting out there, letting people know that you're the first kind of doing this thing, then that's a huge advantage as well, right? Because the worst thing that I would always kind of worry about, I guess, if I was trying to be too stealthy, is somebody else going to come along and like sort of do this publicly, and now I'm looking like I'm following them, because that's the other thing that can happen, I guess, if you're sort of getting too caught up in stealth mode. But yeah, I think it's a case by case basis.
Yeah, no, it always is. And I think that it becomes a lot more important when you're dealing with things like IP or when there's actual
Yeah.
patents being filed and you're waiting for clearance or, issuance and
Mm.
all that. Like, then, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, I can justify it a little bit. But like, I've built so many prototypes over the years where I'm just like, no, it's not ready. Like, just give me a couple of weeks. Let me make sure that this is actually like palatable for people to look at. It's like,
Yeah.
trying to explain my file structure on my computer to someone. I'm like, I know where everything is. It's not in English. It doesn't make sense, but like, I can tell you where every file on my computer happens to be. But like, let me just be able to translate this to the rest of the world.
Yeah. 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 That's a good point. It's like you want to keep it under the radar until it's not completely embarrassing to show to somebody.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
some of the like
Yeah.
the versions I have for even like recent prototypes. Oh man, they're bad. I've done paint mockups, and thankfully Susahash is like, okay, well, I think I can put this into something that's real.
That's funny. That's good. So we've got Stanley, we've got Rachel, and Carla saying hi from the magical world of our stream here. So nice to see you guys. Hello, hello, hello. Thanks for joining us, and looking forward to a fun event. And we've got Hamani that just joined in as well. Hi, Hamani. Nice to see you. Cool. So what's the lineup? Who do we have that's joined us in the backstage?
So far we've got Shamsia, who is here before you, actually, Emery. I'm not
Wow.
saying you should
Wow.
follow their lead, but and then I believe we have Thula as well. Are the two that I currently have backstage. It looks like Susahash has just joined us, so we're waiting on anyone else that's due to present today. I don't actually have that list. If Carla or Emery can just let me know who else is supposed to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. I can let you know. So, in terms of today's presentations, we're looking at, let's see here. We've got, sorry, way too many tabs open, as always,
As
right?
always.
As always. So, here we go. Let's see who's up. So, again, we're not going to do extension today, but we have. So I guess first would be Hamza is not doing it. If Zach is there, then I guess that's an option for Garo Defense. But if not for him, then we would have John first up with if he's on the call with Voltron. We'd have Natabi for Moonshots. Then we would have Thula, and then Shamsia. But because Shamsia was first, I almost feel like she should go first because she was first in
Oh, I
the call.
absolutely go in order of whoever hopped in the call first.
Awesome. Yeah. So then we've got Shamsia first, and then we would do either Zach or John or Natabi or Thula. Yeah.
Awesome. So all the
Yeah.
EIRs, you sort of have the rough order. We know the presentations take somewhere between 15 and sort of 25 minutes. Feel free to join accordingly. The link should be up in Slack for everyone as well to join backstage. And we'll just kind of go in order. But let me bring Susahosh in here and see how he's
Awesome.
doing today. And then we'll get
Brilliant.
going. Hey, Susahosh.
Hey, Sasha, I'm liking the beard, man. It's starting to come in. It's very, you're looking very grown up these days. And you're muted.
Oh, yeah. No, he is so muted. This is fantastic.
Hi. Can you hear me now? I was
Can
like,
hear you
oh
now,
wow,
yeah.
thank you. Yeah. No, I was just saying thank you.
Remind me how
I'm
you got
trying to.
the.
I'm trying to be grown up.
Remind me how you got the head of technology role again. I'm trying to remember how we made that decision.
It was the whole not having the beard thing.
You're trying to give Paul a run for his money. I see. I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Speaking
Yeah.
of Paul, I thought today was your day off.
No, I'm starting my time off tomorrow. I've got a bunch of
Okay.
meetings. I'm trying to clean stuff up here because, like, that's the problem with taking time off for me, right? It's well, yeah, like I can take it off whenever I want. I technically have like unlimited PTO as far as you or the company is concerned. But like when I get back, the last time I got my second shot, right? I was out for what 5 or 6 days, and I worked 16 hours a day for a week and a half to catch back up. So like the work just keeps coming. It's that very slow like flood roll almost of like you can't stop it. It's still going. You can go step aside at some point, but it's still going to be there.
Emery, help me out here. This guy just keeps burning himself out. So like everyone needs some rest.
I'm just taking time off. I don't have to burn myself out in order to do that. We can be preventative for a change.
Well, I think it's he's just burning hot so that he basically is kind of going through the cycles a lot faster than the rest of us. He's like a supernova, right? He's just burning hotter, and then he has to every so often just recover.
That's Paul supernova.
That might have been the nicest thing you've ever said about me, Emery.
Don't get used to it.
Oh no! It feels like I feel so awkward right now because I don't know what to do with this. All right, so we have our order. We're going to run Shamsia and then Thula, and then we have everyone else that's supposed to be joining up. Feel free to join up afterwards or partway through the presentations. Same structure as always, big screen, floor is yours for a little bit. We'll ask questions. I think one of the important things that I wanted to mention on the back of the last presentations we had, there's nothing wrong with answering a question to say we don't know. Like when you're sitting there and if you're unsure of information, it's very easy to kind of get caught up in stuff. Because I do it still at this point after pitching for, however old I am at this point. But, we know that it's at a different stage and we're going to keep asking questions that tend to push people. We want to know information of like, even if you're just iterating your first level MVP, you're trying to figure out exactly what your feature list is. Even if you're a bit before then, it's always going to be, well, like, what does your competitive analysis look like? What are your steps on go to market? Like these are the important execution questions because generally that's where all of our experience is, right? Like as much as Emery and I disagree on, everything about our existence, the one thing that he's great at is going to market and launching a company quickly, effectively, and then iterating rapidly. Like it's what he's done successfully for a very, very long time. And that's not my general approach to it. So my questions are different than the way that Emery asks questions. So if you're not sure, if it's a bit further along, cool, no problem. Ask questions of us. This doesn't have to be a one-way thing. We're not sitting here and, judging for no reason. Like it's totally fine to have it as a conversation as well. And let us know what we can do to help.
And that was the nicest thing I think I've ever heard you say about me, Paul. So I think we've turned a corner here today. I think there's we're building a whole new relationship.
I had this great idea. I'm like, you know what? I think it'll all zero out. I'm like, if I say something nice about Emery, I'll stop feeling shitty on the inside. And like, no, it feels worse now. It's terrible.
I'm gonna say hi to Chandrika and Andrea. They just joined the feed. Nice to see you both.
Awesome.
Awesome. Okay, well, let's get it started. I'm super excited.
For sure. All right. Shamsia, hello.
Hi, Shamsia.
And she's muted.
I think you were muted too. I mean, I always appreciate that Susahosh is leading by example.
I try.
It always makes it easier, right? Like even last, or what was it, Tuesday? Whenever like all of the mid rolls didn't work, everything
I
else.
think maybe she's having hard, like, we cannot seem to hear you. Can you, maybe microphone problem, technical issues? No, I think she's just having technical issues.
Connection looks fantastic from this side.
Might just be like a mic setting or an audio setting.
Yeah, because like even the mixer isn't showing up on my side for the audio level, which is super weird.
I know that Shamsi has been able. She's been able to, communicate in past live streams. So it might be just.
She's been fabulous. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to try rejoining? Excellent.
Yep.
Right. Well, while we're waiting, so Susahosh, how has been things going down in Bangladesh these days? What's going on?
It's good. I just stay home. Like there's a lockdown. They're calling a shutdown. They did a lockdown and people didn't like care. So now they're calling a shutdown, and they literally like shut down everything. So apparently they have like military and stuff on the road to like enforce it, because people here like they just don't want to listen. So yeah, it's a different scenario than what I'm hearing in Canada, where everything's opening up. So I don't know.
Yeah,
let's see.
Well, South Africa's been up and down as well. It's still has mostly things staying shut. Although you can now go back to restaurants and stuff like that too. But a lot of other things are not available.
How's the vaccination?
Alcohol is not being sold. All that stuff. Very slow rolling out that. So most people, I think, are not vaccinated yet. Wow. There's some people that are getting it. But,
yeah, I think that like unless we have vaccination, we cannot open back up, and that's the biggest challenge. Even in the developed world, I think American people are not taking, even though it's very much available. So yeah.
All right.
I think
Shamsia is back. Sorry to cut you off, Susahosh.
Yep.
All right.
Hello.
Hey, we can hear you now.
Thank you. I think it was a bit too early, and my microphone wasn't as early as I was. Hello, Paul, Emery, and Susahosh.
Hello. I do the same thing too. Like even on Tuesday, I went through all the prep. I was like, oh, everything works. This is fantastic. I'm having my coffee. I'm doing great. And then everything broke as soon as we started. It's like awesome.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things I don't like about being isolated and working alone. Like you have to do everything yourself.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, and the technology doesn't always work as predicted as well, right? Like,
yeah, it doesn't work as you want it to work, right?
Yeah. I think probably everybody's gone through like multiple presentations over the last several months where things just went sideways, So I think we're all used to it at this point. But great that you were able to reconnect and get everything on track. So we're looking forward to seeing your presentation.
Okay, so I'm just going to start now.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Are you sharing your screen as well?
Yes.
Fabulous.
Let me know how it works and if you can see it.
Yep, you just have to share it. I'll bring it up for you. So you just have to click through the presentation. I'll do all the heavy lifting.
Okay. So let's share.
Yeah, you have to give permission so that you have to give the whole screen or
we're all good here.
Application. Yep.
Awesome.
Okay.
If you want to bring up your presentation, I can see your screen being shared. Excellent. Yeah. And the rest of us will all hop out and the floor is yours.
Okay.
See you when you're done.
Okay. Hello. Good morning, everybody. I'm Shamsia, and I'm the lead pilot for Haven Nutrition. And this is my first version, and I hope you enjoy it. Haven stands for being sacred, and that's the principle we follow at Haven. Your body is sacred. So the products that come out of Haven are nutritious and curated to ensure that you are getting the best out of it for your bodies and for your souls. They are bars and they are curated superfoods and much more. Haven is associated with vegan food, plant-based food, organic food, eco-friendly, low glycemic indexed food, and definitely handcrafted in Canada. But before we begin and understand the mission of Haven, it's important to understand how we arrived at it. So we need to ask you this. Are you hungry at work? Well, if you are due for your next meal, then it's fine. But if not, or if you've skipped a meal, then it's time to reflect. Because malnourishment is the lack of proper nutrition caused by not having eaten enough or not eating the right things, or also being hungry because you're lacking the basic, simple micronutrients in your food. The state of food security and nutrition in the world is the most authoritative study that tracks the problem of hunger and malnourishment, something that we do not associate in a country like Canada. The study is carried out by FAO and UNICEF kind of organizations. And during the pandemic, the study has picked up a lot of intensity because COVID-19 pandemic has intensified the vulnerabilities and inadequacies of the global food systems. So it's important to overcome hunger and malnourishment in all its forms, which is undernutrition, micronutrient deficiencies, overweight, and obesity. It's not just about securing enough food. It's also about making sure that you're eating the right food. So Canada in 2015 signed a deal with 192 other United Nations member states and adopted a 2030 Sustainable Development Goals. Out of the 17 goals, 2 are directly linked to the food system and hence to all the food companies. Goal 2 objectifies ending hunger, and they want to achieve food security and improve nutrition in the world. And goal 3 is all about good health and well-being, to ensure that every soul on the planet has access to good health and promote good health and well-being. And how do they think it's possible? One stipulation is transformation of the food systems, and United Nations calls on governments to mainstream nutrition in their food policy approaches. And it's only a matter of time before the governments start stringently enforcing these policies and pulling in all the food companies to do so as such. So fixing our food system is definitely critical to addressing a lot of urgent health, economic, and environmental problems. So there are a lot of companies hopping in and want to do the same, but are they being responsible enough? The consumers don't really have a choice when it comes to deciding, because what's available in the market, they are overwhelmed by the choices. If you look at it, the existing protein bars today still have a high amount of refined sugar. They still use unhealthy sweeteners. Their claims could not be validated, which increases the risk of fatty diseases, and fatty liver diseases, obesity, diabetes. And also the existing food subscription boxes do not address issues of insecurity and malnourishment and sustainability. The curated products that have the potential now to be better. The products that are available today are not innovative. They do not have intrigue and definitely no novelty. So what does that mean? The customers are not just the buyers. We want them to participate in every aspect of decision-making in the food system, because that is what Haven stands for, to keep the customer involved right from the start of the genesis to the end and play a role in mindful decisions. So what does Haven strive to do better? We are going to be using simple ingredients. We are going to optimize a process that is simple and sustainable, increase the amount of protein in the curated products or the nutrition bars, using more nuts and seeds. Definitely use healthy carbs and sugars. Keep it delicious. Target satiety, low glycemic index, and also educate and empower the audience and the communities around us. And as you can see here, the left graph shows a standard that we wanted to achieve, but Haven Bar has done much better. Not only is our sugar level much below what we expected to achieve, but even the protein and fiber level is much higher. And we are already on the right track and we are doing way better. The product development started in 2019, and July 2021 is the space for operations and marketing, and we are definitely picking up speed. And we hope to achieve start sales actually by October 2021. And the timing is perfect for us because the post-COVID era is the time when there is a demand for healthier food options. And D2C channels, that is direct-to-consumer channels, are taking a larger share of the food sales. And this is a new trend in the food tech industry. And it's, apart from the obvious reasons, it's clear and it's also frictionless. And for us, we are powered by the Darkhorse. So this is a perfect timing for Haven to start its journey with you. We are still building the traction. So I'm just going to be talking about the steps we're taking. Darkhorse has invested greatly in Haven, and we are leveraging all that it has to offer. We're working on brand development, product development, understanding the most possible marketing channels that we can use. We're working on personal brand development and also developing a robust business model. The marketing channels we're looking at right now are content marketing, SEO, SEM, and we also plan to host some webinars, more inclusive podcasts, and work on social media ads. So it's safe to say now that we have reimagined Haven to be the world's fastest growing nutritional intelligence startup, where we're not only talking about making you less hungry, but also increasing the impact that the food that you eat has on your gut and brain system. So Haven uses machine learning and human curation to start to customize your boxes, your subscription boxes, and deliver to you with accurate frequency so that you all have many options to have a healthier and more interesting lifestyle. So these are some of the concepts that have been developed by Haven. So we have a health box, which is just for nutrition with basic nutrition delicacies, or we have something that's only delicious and decadent. And obviously, nutrition is the core of Haven products. But we can also personalize it and customize it depending on what you need. So that is an added advantage of Haven's subscription boxes. So the market that we're looking at now to target are people who prefer plant-based food in Toronto and the GTA. So broadly, they can be people who are working, mothers who new and old. Actually, it should be moms and dads, people who like to be outdoors, and obviously diet conscious and mindful eaters. Briefly, a rough market segmentation has led Haven to believe that Haven products at the moment can target plant-based dietary preference, people who prefer plant-based diet, and people who are in the mid to high income demographic and who are mindful of their food choices and who also know that Haven products are not going to be the cheapest, and they want to make this a choice to augment their healthy lifestyle. And the broader target would definitely be vegans or plant-based dietary, people who prefer plant-based diet. Then moving on to the business model, Haven has the typical subscription box business model where there will be periodic payments made by the customer, and Haven will be very systematic in delivering the product periodically to the customer, the core of which will be the channels and the couriers and the subscribers. We are studying the market rigorously, trying to understand what other options are there. And we have listed out some direct competitors and indirect competitors, and not only the products, but we're also studying their ideologies and how they're working on making the food system better. So we feel this is how we do better, and what we are giving to the audience is way better in terms of not just the product, but it's also the value that we are imagining. So definitely we are pulling in the customers to reimagine and redesign the food system. We are proactively creating value in the existing process, and we are going to be focused on creating simple, easy, artisanal food without compromising on the quality. Everything's going to be science-backed. We are not just delivering the product, but also the Haven lifestyle. So we are going to put a lot of emphasis on education and empowering communities around us, keep it sustainable, and continue the movement to fight food insecurity and build strategic partnerships that will help us play a pivotal role in shaping the food system. A very rough matrix study has put Haven on par with products that could be deemed as luxury products or high-end products, because it's not just the value in terms of money that we are offering. We have attached a lot of other values to the product in terms of how nutritious it is, how clean it is, how tasty and delicious it's going to be, how convenient and how ethically sourced or responsible our products are going to be for the customers, and also the fact that we are going to be keeping the customers involved in every step of the way. So to sum it all up, this is how the mission of Haven was formed. Haven is an organic superfood nutrition brand that focuses on nourishing the body and supporting one's optimal lifestyle. So we are focused on increasing the nutritional value of the food, improve wellness, drive environmental stewardship, and develop wholesome foods and snacks, creating a healthier and more sustainable planet. We have also partnered with ICFC, where we have pledged a part of the profits to conserve the Amazon forest. And that is something that's very close to our heart at Haven. So to sum it all up, Haven is not just a brand that delivers the product. We are empowering the customer to make the right choices. We are going to enable them to do so by bringing up a system where they actively play a part in taking responsible decisions for themselves and for the communities around them. At the end, Haven is just a bridge, and we want to ask this question, and we want to tell them this, the customers, that your subscriptions matter. Your subscriptions mean that you all are playing a role in saving the planet, supporting small businesses, and also changing your lives. We want to achieve a large number of annual subscriptions because it impacts a lot of good things and provides livelihoods for a lot of different people in a lot of different communities. And we want your help to accomplish that. And this couldn't have been possible without the Haven team and the Darkhorse team. Thank you so much.
Oh,
Wow.
really impressive, Shamsia. That was
Very
wonderful.
nice.
Thank you.
It was very rich in story and context, and very mission driven. I love it. Yeah, I really love the how you articulated the mission, and the call to action at the end was really impressive. I'm getting a little emotional here because that was really well done.
That's yours. It's your work.
Well, I started some of it, but you've taken it
I didn't have
to
to work
a really
hard.
good place.
As you
you've
guys
taken
are
it to-
talking, it's the prototype. I just had to articulate it. It was all right there.
Well, it was well expressed. That's for sure.
And don't always feel like you have to give Emery credit for things either. It's okay to take it all, because I look back at my Slack messages between you and I, and like we were talking about content syndication and like the marketing bullseye like 18 days ago, and since then it seems like you've got all of the verticals sorted, you have the methodology sorted, the trend points, where your market applicability is, like you sort of have the unit economics thrown in there as well. Like it's very impressive how much you accomplished in a short period of time.
Thank you for all the links that you sent me. Just opened my mind to the entire different world of content syndication. It's so much easier.
You have 100% of my knowledge in that space now. Like that's all I've got. I've talked to Emery for the rest of it.
Thank you, Paul.
So Carla says, well done, Shamsia. And Chandrika says, I love the product and how you've emphasized on the need to make intelligent food choices. This is amazing, Shamsia. My question is how Haven will be targeting food insecurity that is prevailing in underprivileged segments of society. That's a great question, because I think we've had a couple of conversations, Shamsia, about, one of the challenges is that the product is it's sort of it's starting off at least as a very premium sort of product. The price point doesn't really directly serve an underprivileged community, right? Obviously, there's some social partnerships there that I think are going to help in that respect. But is there anything else you're thinking about in terms of how to sort of combat food insecurity through the good forces at Haven?
I think a major part of combating that, or actually stepping online to help combat food insecurity, is when we build awareness where at the social level, at a community level. Because when you talk of food insecurity, we're talking of how, especially during the pandemic, it was observed in Canada that there were a lot of families that were living okay, but because of the pandemic, they kind of went below they had to lower the standards of living. So what they could afford earlier, they couldn't. So Government of Canada was helping them with free food boxes. So I feel like we at Haven, when we build these strategic partnerships, and because our price point is high, so we can involve these people who can participate in helping us serve communities that cannot afford it. Probably you buy a box from us and we take $1, $2 to provide a free box to other communities, work with the government and set up something that's not going to be heavy on our pockets, but also going to help people who want to participate, because not everybody can directly work to combat food insecurity. We want to take hold of such people and who can work with us to help us achieve that. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. So basically having the consumer be empowered to help the change.
It almost like an infinity thing. A community is helping a community. Yeah, that's what I would envision. Yeah.
That's
nice.
Great.
So I actually have a question. I was wondering, what is the price point? Because you said it's a luxury item in your presentation. You said it's a bit higher price point. So what is the price point of the different bars?
Okay, when I talked about it as being a luxury item, it was more about the experience that goes with the price. So I'm not saying it's going to be the cheapest, but it's definitely not going to be something that mid-income person can't afford. A bar could cost roughly $5 to $7. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
And how are the typical bars that at the same category, or other nutrition bar? Because if you go, of course there's the health aspect, which is what we're educating, but if we were to go to I stop by a gas station or something, there's all these options, right? So why wouldn't I just pick up that because it's convenient versus order, right? So
yes, that's convenient and it's available, and you're going to eat that, obviously. So you're definitely not the one to be subscribing to the Haven boxes, because we are not talking about how you're busy and you're just going to pick up something to eat. That's exactly what we are fighting against. We don't want you to do that. We want you to make healthy choices. We want you to be aware of what you're paying for and what your food is. We're going to keep it very simple. We want to educate you before you buy the product. It's definitely not going to be a generic product that you just pick it off the supermarkets. It's something that you are going to make a decision in developing and also in consuming. It's going to be your product. Yeah, it's a little more inclusive.
In that case, how do you compete? My question is really around how do you compete in that market outside the education piece, where how do you go about solving that? Because that's the biggest challenge.
The thing is, it's really a very sad situation that the retail products do not have what it takes. But there are some very good subscription box companies who are directly supplying these bars, which is like the Simply Protein or the Kate's Protein. They are pretty good. They are not available in all retail stores, but there are, I think, some places that do sell them. Now, those are the boxes that we would be competing with. We're not really competing with the available, junk bars in the retail store. Yeah, it's not for that.
So in your space, what is the price point for your competitors?
Compared to them? Okay, a monthly subscription box for, this is just an example of Kate's Proteins bars, is around $49 to $50. That's for a month. Okay, so we want to place.
How many do you get in a bar, in a box of?
It's 30. It's a 30.
30. Okay.
30,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So. Okay.
Yeah. We're going to work around that and come to a price point that is somewhat close to that. Yes.
Okay, but isn't then like if it's 30 boxes at $50, about what dollar and a half per bar for a month?
Yeah.
Right. So, but
Which is
then aren't
actually
we?
inexpensive compared to most bars. Like Cliff bars right now, even in bulk, are going for $2.50 a bar.
Mm-hmm. So, like our boxes are also going to be the same price.
We haven't really decided on the price point. We're not talking I
Okay.
haven't decided the metrics, but what I was thinking is a bar should cost around $5 to $7. Yeah.
Like individually, but and a monthly subscription, right? We have
It's
to
not
kind of
about
consider.
an individual, it's about the portion size that you would consume. So we're talking about grams. Yeah. So probably 700 grams could cost you around $5. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think like ultimately for a consumer, of course, the education and the motivation is huge, but price point is always an issue. So I think it's like figuring that challenge out is the like your first
It's a
hurdle to
challenge.
kind of overcome. So my I guess challenge for you is for the next week to work on that, to kind of come up with your pricing structure where you're covering your costs but you're still profitable, and how we can get there. Yeah.
Well, and I might want to look like a step back too, because the price has got to be relative to whatever the manufactured like out the door cost is with shipping, right? So do you know what that kind of looks like on that side? Like, I mean, my question, I think I had this question for you like a month ago too, was are they going to taste good? And where can I buy them?
So I can
first part of
attest to
it.
that. Like I think I had the pleasure of trying one bar, I think back in Toronto, like as a sample from Emery, and yeah, it was good. So as a foodie, self-acclaimed, I think the quality is very good. I liked it, at least the one Emery gave me. I really loved it. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, and then the second question, always from my side, is what do the logistics look like? Like, is the supply chain solid? Is what's our actual cost? When do we ramp down in prices relative to volume? Like all of those like little nitty gritty things of like, okay, well now we know exactly the whole spectrum of everything. We know what the pricing is. If they already taste great and we have the formula and everything's put together, awesome. Like that's fantastic. Now it's just making sure that the pricing is solid and that you've got more than enough margin to do what you want. Because I'm a huge fan of the mission. And what you're looking to do. If I could get them delivered every day, I would absolutely hop on that train as well.
I haven't really worked on the logistics part of it. I haven't even started studying how much it would cost. And
No problem.
Yeah, that's because that's something I think I can't do it alone. I need some expert opinions to.
I volunteer Paul.
Yes.
Oh, you know what's so funny? I volunteer Emery, the guy that has a logistics food company. I build SaaS products, man. Like Emery actually does this.
And I'm going to volunteer Susahosh, so we can just do this like.
We can
All right, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Fine.
But
it's great. Like I think we're all here to help. Like, so feel free to reach out to any one of us. But yeah, I think we need to figure that out. That's the main thing. But I love the mission, like the way you presented it. Like Emery said, I totally get it. You're totally behind the mission. The way you presented it, that was amazing. So I love it. Now is the next part of the business, because a business is not just one thing, but many things coming together.
Yeah.
So yeah.
One of the things I think, Shamsia, we had a couple of recent conversations just to sort of close the loop on this sort of question, because I think Susash and Paul have a really good, sort of focus for us as a sort of a next step of like, hey, how do we start to test the pricing? So because we're kind of shifting to these boxes as opposed to just selling off one-off bars, we can actually include more than one product in there, right? Like there's nothing to stop us from not having just our bars, but having our bars with like some other third-party curated products, as you talked about. So I think that gets the price down, because the production for the original bar samples that we created was very expensive, because every ingredient was a superfood, right? And there was no compromise. It was like sort of this idea of, it's like, we talked about it, I think yesterday, it was like the Roadster for Tesla, right? Like it was like the first version, and it's like, okay, we're not going to, everything's organic, everything's like sustainably sourced, everything's like the most premium. I think we tested originally, like 5 or 6 different types of dates, and then 5 or 6 different brands within each date, 5 or 6, like everything, like every chocolate, we went through every organic chocolate manufacturer, and in Canada. So it was like one of those things where the product is really premium, but the problem with that, frankly, is sort of what I think Susash is alluding to, which is that it's really expensive, right? And in order to get the price down, we need to have better competitive relationships with the suppliers, because starting off with a really small batch, you just don't get the volume discounts that you need, right, in order to make it more competitive. But the good news is that there is some things that we can control. So we can control, portion sizes, things like that, to try to spread out spread it out. But we can also put in other products into the boxes. And I think because we did some math on the original bars originally, Shamsia, and we ended up getting the price of the bars profitably at about a 25 to 30% margin, including shipping. We ended up getting it down to closer to $4.25 roughly per bar with the original formula. So that made me very optimistic, because I actually thought we should be able to try to get it down to just under $4. And I think that would be a price because it's going to be about price testing. Like what are consumers willing to to pay, right? Obviously they're willing to pay a little bit more for, or potentially, hopefully, substantially more for something that they are educated on. To your point, but there's a break point, right, where it's just too expensive, and they're like, well, you know what? I want healthy, but I'm not willing to pay 5 times more or 3 times more, right? Okay. So this is the fun part. We get to go out and start to experiment, start to ask questions to the beta testers, start to send out different samples and stuff like that. But I think that the box set that you're describing, where we can actually start to put in some extra value in there by adding some other products that may not be as expensive, will be a huge opportunity for us. So great job on sort of pushing it in that direction as well.
Thank you so much. And the challenge will also be to find some suppliers now. Along with, who can deliver the kind of product without compromising on the quality. So that's another challenge for us.
So the two things are right. It's like production, and then costing and profitability. Absolutely. But great work so far. I'm really impressed with the way you're articulating it. I think you're able to sell the vision and the mission, which is half the battle. And now it's just like about getting all the back end stuff sort of in place.
Thank you. And I'm just going to be messaging all you experts and getting more ideas from now on. Thank you so much.
Sounds great. It's what we're here for.
Yes.
Great work.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for the presentation, and we will talk to you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Cool. Oh, that was fun. Good. Yeah. That was so the bar is still. I've been really impressed with these presentations. I have to say. I mean, they're
getting better. They've been very, very nice. Are you guys still producing these out of that kitchen in Vaughan or North York? No.
So good question. No. So what happened was we paused the project officially when I came down here, actually. So when I came, so this is around the end of 2020, beginning of 2021. So basically everything, all the operations was paused then, and then it was just sort of waiting for us to get a proper team to kind of put it together. So the original team I started the beta stuff with ended up moving on. They started working on some of their own projects, and and then it ended up getting adopted by Darkhorse. So
I'm looking forward to the bars again. So. And I think Carla says, now I'm hungry. Me too. Excited.
Awesome.
Awesome. So who is next?
So we have, I was just messaging in our backstage chat here. It is Thula and then Nathabi.
Cool.
So as always, before you're being brought up, if you could just make sure that you have your camera on to make sure that you are actually here. Cool beans is such an excellent expression. Thank you for that. Huge fan. Awesome. Are we all ready for another one, gentlemen?
I think we're ready.
Absolutely.
Excited. Yeah.
Excellent. Hello.
Hey.
Hi.
How you doing, Thula?
I'm good, thanks. How are you guys?
Awesome.
Good, thank you.
Awesome.
See you again.
Nice to see you. Happy Friday.
Thank you. Doesn't really make a difference when you working from home. It's just
I would have to agree. The days do start to blend together when you're always at home, don't they? Yeah. But I still always know when it's Friday somehow. I think there's like part of my gene is like just wired to weekends. So I'm like I don't know why, because I actually like my work. So it's not like I'm like waiting for the weekend to be here so that I can escape. But I think I like the weekends just because it's the weekends. I just like the fact that it's the weekend. Yeah.
But you're not resting.
What's that?
I'm saying, but you're not resting on the weekends.
Well, I definitely am more resting than I am on the weekdays, but not entirely. Like I don't completely check out. No, that's not. I'm not wired up for that. You can put me on a beach with nothing, and I'll still figure something out to drive myself crazy. So yeah, that's my style.
All right. Where do I share my screen?
So at the bottom, there should be a button to hit share screen. It'll pop up as a separate feed. You don't have to do anything. It gives sort of me control of it. So I'll bring it over here. I'll remove us. I'll make a big screen. So all you have to do is share it, and I'll let you know when I can see it.
Okay, sure. Let's do that.
I'm excited.
So I'm waiting on, I don't see the pop-up to share the screen.
Yeah, make sure you give permission. That's one thing people miss. When you click it, there's a permission thing.
Okay. Okay. Paul, are you sure you gave me the go-ahead from your side?
Actually, like our software is so technologically advanced that I actually can't stop you from sharing your screen.
No, but I don't have the option of sharing my screen. That's what I'm trying to say.
So on right below the talking heads, do you see like some little icons? And there's one that with like a little bit of a cross through it, like a little like it looks like a little
computer. Yeah, it's a dot.
Computer with a little red cross.
It should be what, microphone, camera, and then share screen.
Wow. Yes, I found it.
Yeah.
There you go.
We didn't upgrade the package to afford labels, unfortunately. So like it's been a bit of a struggle.
I got some funny like.
That's a great idea, Paul, to sell software where you have to upgrade to get.
Sorry, what was that?
I'm sorting out the permission to share the screen.
Yeah, it should pop up in like the top left corner. It should say that Restream is asking for access to your whichever.
Okay.
I think you only have to do it once and then everything's fine, right, Susash?
Yeah, I think so.
Just after that, it just saves in the browser, I believe. Yeah. And if you can't figure it out, you can just mime your presentation. Like you can like use your hands as.
Have you ever had to do that before?
So now. Yes, I have done it before, just not with this. With this application. So
when you click on it, what ends up happening?
Okay, so I'm about to do it now. All right. So
I have a shared screen from you.
Yes. So I'm gonna open my presentation now.
Yep.
Are we on the same page?
Yes. So if you want to bring up a presentation, perfect.
I'm on a completely different book at this point. I'm not even on the same page. I moved on to a new book.
Okay, don't worry. Producing a live stream is difficult. It's fine. Don't even worry. So I have your screen share. We're all going to hop out. I'll bring it up full screen for you, and then the stage is yours. All ready?
Thank you.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you, guys. Finally, we sorted out the tech and all of that. Happy to be here. Happy to introduce my project. So is Tula. Actually, guys, it's Tula, not Tula, just for future reference. So my project name is Hibiscus, and I will be working on a plant-based beverage. Now, when I got the brief, I had a broad brief, plant-based something. So I got plant-based beverage. But there was a lot of things that I was like, okay, why are we taking plants, making it beverages? Like, what's happening? There's the soil and these drinks. What is happening? And first question that I would want to address with everyone today is, which am I talking about, right? Now, already a heads up there on your screen that I'm talking about a plant that belongs to the cannabis family. Now, if I take you on an analogy, right, this plant is relative to a sibling, actually, to a very popular cannabis sibling, which is to be marijuana, right? Now, the street name for marijuana is weed or dacha, and this sibling in the streets is the family entertainer and also an entertainer in the streets. And this sibling is popular for being high, right? But the plant that I am talking about that we will be using for hibiscus is called hemp, right? Now, this particular sibling is the sibling with an intellect with lots of depth. And this sibling is popular for her calm personality and having therapeutic capabilities. Now, we are looking at hemp. What is the difference between marijuana and hemp? Scientifically, so what is the difference? They both belong to the cannabis family, but what is the difference? The main thing that I would like to start off with is to mention that all types of cannabis flowers, in our case, all siblings that belong to the cannabis family, have a very special DNA composition, right? So when we're talking science language, we will say that all cannabis flowers have two dominant chemical compounds that are popularly studied, known as cannabinoids. So these two cannabinoids are CBD and THC. It is important to note these two cannabinoids so we understand how these different siblings are different from each other. Now, if we look on the spectrum, right, starting on the far right, we see that there is a particular cannabis flower that will have a higher concentration of THC as opposed to CBD, right? And the effect of this type of flower, which in this case is the weed, right, which is used for medicinal purposes and recreational purposes. The effect on the body of this type of cannabis flower, which is high in THC, is that it gives you a high sensation. Whereas in comparison to the hemp flower, right? Remember that both these flowers are cannabis. It's just that the chemical composition between the two flowers are very different. Now, hemp, which is the plant that I will be using to bring to life this beverage, has a high CBD concentration. Now, CBD is this magical cannabinoid that is non-intoxicating as opposed to its sibling that is psychoactive and gets people high. Now, what does this magic leaf hemp do, right? It is popularly known to help people with pain relief, stress and anxiety relief, digestion improvement, and it is also a very good sleeping aid. But I mean, it's just the one flower, one chemical compound, and so many reported benefits. How does it actually happen? So throughout my research, I realized that it is because of this unique system in our bodies. And if you look at this, you'll see this cannabinoid word is coming up for the second time now. Now, these chemical compounds that are in these cannabis flowers, funny enough, called cannabinoids, our bodies also naturally produce cannabinoids as and when they are needed. It are called endocannabinoids because they create themselves naturally within our bodies. This body is, this system, this ECS system, is a very unique system in that its sole function in the body is to make sure that all the other systems in our bodies, like the digestive system, the immune system, is working efficiently and optimally in relation to one another, ensuring that our are always in a state of equilibrium. So I'll give you an example. If the temperature rises, your body will begin to sweat, right? Now, the temperature is an external force, and your body feels that, okay, no, something is wrong. So then the endocannabinoid system will do something that will cause you to sweat so that your body inside remains calm. So this is the sole purpose of this system, right? And this system is composed of 3 components that I'm not going to go into detail. We can not get lost in the science and the particular facts. But the main thing about this system is that it is the one system that is actually recent 1990s. And this system, we can all agree that it's to make sure that your body remains in a state of homeostasis, which means your body and all the other systems in your body are working together well, irrespective of external environments. Now, how does CBD get into the picture? Well, the way that CBD interacts with the system is that it enhances the concentration of all the different components in the system to make sure that you are always in a state of equilibrium. That's why it's popular for calm, right? And the main thing is that CBD modifies the activity of the system's transport proteins and makes sure that the cannabinoid that exists naturally in our bodies, right, which is responsible for keeping you calm, it has a high concentration in our bodies. Now, if this all sounds like Greek to you, right, what I'm trying to say and what this slide is trying to communicate to you is that a CBD infused product, right, is trying to promote a peaceful internal environment. And Hibiscus, particularly as a product, will want to promote this peaceful internal environment through 2 things. One being sleep enhancement and anxiety relief. So these are the people that we are talking to, and we just want you to understand how CBD is the best way to get you to that state of calm and a peaceful internal environment. As I have indicated at the beginning, I have chosen to work with a beverage. Why? Well, first of all, the CBD products that are on the market, or the ones that have taken off faster than most of them, is the oils. Now, the oils, an oil is bland, first of all. Like, there's nothing interesting about taking an oil, right? And the way that the oils are also consumed is quite boring. You just put it underneath your tongue, just the drops, and you're good to go. And another thing about a beverage is that, as opposed to the oils, it's not bland. You have an opportunity to create a whole lot of different natural flavors. And because this will be a liquid, right, there is better absorption and activation of CBD in the body. Now, remember that because you understand how CBD interacts with your body, it means that the better it is absorbed and activated into your body, then the more calm your body overall will be, right? And you need less CBD to achieve the same effect as an oil would. Therefore, it makes it much easier for it to be an affordable product, because the oils will easily go for 100 grams of a bottle, will go for between 600 to 1,500 rands, that is. Whereas in this case, we will require less CBD, but we will still get to the same effect. And this is because the method or the compound that we'll be using is not oil, but we would rather opt for using hemp seed powder. And then each bottle will also make it easy for you to regulate how much CBD you are taking daily, right? And as I have indicated how the ECS system works in our body, it requires us to consistently take CBD to benefit from all of these calm and stable environment benefits that CBD will offer us. But also, I want to mention that in South Africa, they are also catching up on the wave. There is a master plan that the authorities have taken out. And this master plan is basically a framework that wants to make and commercialize CBD into the market, because they realize the natural and alternative healing methods that CBD offers to its people. But what I want to tell you is that the success of my project will directly allow me to bring to life 3 of the 7 master plan objectives that they have mentioned. One is that I will be able to increase the volumes and variety of cannabis products that are destined for both local and export markets. Secondly, I will be able to replace imported cannabis products with locally produced products. And 3, establish and increase the manufacturing capacity of the SA cannabis industry. Now, this is in a broader scale, legally, commercially, and for the economy at large of South Africa. But personally, why I chose a cannabis project is simple. I want to make sure that my mom realizes her agricultural dream. She has recently, she's always has been recently evident to me that she really is passionate about crop farming, and cannabis is also one of the industries that she would really want to be commercial in. And through the success of my product and her seeing a CBD infused beverage, she can believe that she can easily become my supplier in the next future, when the legislation, of course, allows for the cultivation and the processing of cannabis in South Africa. And going forward, or where I'm at currently, now that I've finally decided that, okay, I'm going to be working with a beverage, and we might not be able to, produce it from the scratch. The main thing that I think will make us stand out is our packaging, right? And creating a packaging that speaks to the people and that is really visually appealing. So product designers are people that I would like to work with, especially for getting an appealing packaging. Finding authorized suppliers for the importation of hemp seed powder. Remember that there's a difference between marijuana and hemp. So there's a very thin line in making sure that what we are putting in our product is hemp and not marijuana. And then also finding ideal manufacturing facilities. But otherwise, there's a lot, because CBD and cannabis are controversial and also confusing. There's a lot of conversations we can have. So I would kindly ask for you to follow me on Facebook at Thulaganya Korisang, so I can share my product journey when I can, and we can also build a community of cannabis enthusiasts. Thank you so much for listening, and more than happy to take any questions that you might have for me.
Awesome, Thula. Not Tula, Thula. Awesome job.
Thula.
Awesome job. Thula, yeah. Thuliano, right? Awesome work. Yeah, that was wonderful. Very I love the education approach that you took on your presentation. I learned a lot actually in a very short presentation. So that was great. Actually, so there's a few things. I have a bunch of questions here, but I think the big one for me is, do you actually think that it's feasible to get something in market in the short amount of time you have, or is it worthwhile to pursue potentially curating or white labeling, private labeling, I think is the better term. Private labeling, maybe somebody who already has something internationally, because I mean we're talking about 200 plus countries that there's a lot of enthusiasm around the world at this point for CBD products and cannabis products. Finding maybe an ally right now that can kind of help at least get you in market, and then like you said, once things open up even more in South Africa, you could have your mom sort of come in as a supplier. You could take that product and maybe produce it locally, things like that, as opposed to trying to get manufacturers together right now, get production together. It just, first of all, it sounds very expensive the way that you describe your approach, and then secondly, I don't know if you can do it in the amount of time you have. But I'm open to like your feedback on that. Have you thought through that?
Yes. I haven't really thought about it in detail, and that's why I didn't really mention the whole product cycle in my presentation, because I'm open to the different ways that I can actually get it to market. The only thing that I know I want to do is make sure that the product I will be presenting is visually appealing through the packaging, but also that we can be sure that we are using the appropriate CBD base, right?
Yeah.
So I'm more than happy to do the private labeling as long as it's a beverage, and I can then, for now, based on the time that I have, work on the packaging and getting the education out there and getting the conversation going in South Africa. I mean, I'm more than happy to be one of the pioneers who are actually getting the cannabis conversation going through a beverage also. I think it's a very easy product to move and sell.
Yeah. Oh no, I think I love your selection. I think a beverage is an awesome idea, and like you said, it's a lot more interesting than just an oil. Like it's just more of a and you're talking about creating a social community, and I mean beverages are the perfect sort of table placement for a social gathering, like a conversation about anything, right? So I think there's a lot of power behind starting with the beverage. I'd love to help you. Just take some direction, because I've talked about this a lot, and I'm going to keep bringing it up, and it's going to be probably annoying for a lot of the EIRs, but we need to all play the long game, right? And so entrepreneurship is a marathon, and so the vision is all creators is to have your own original product. I mean, it's pretty much why I got into this is like I wanted to build product. However, I've learned the hard way that I want to have customers basically vote with their money for me to continue developing my products, right? And so the way they do that is you get something in market that they're interested in, starting that conversation, and then you can move into experimenting with your own products over time. So you don't have to start with your own products. It's actually very difficult and very expensive to start with all your own products. But if you can find somebody who's, there's a lot of people that aren't very good at marketing and sales and building a community and all the stuff that you can do really well, but they're really good at manufacturing. And so they love to work with somebody who is going to come in and like take their product and put it in an awesome package and put it in, throughout social media and do like all the things that you can do. So we have to pick our battles. You only have so much time over the next like few months to kind of do something that, is going to motivate you to keep working on this project well beyond the 6 months, right? So I do think that you should strongly consider moving away from this idea of sourcing sort of all the stuff yourself, and find somebody that can basically team up with you that fills in the gap of what you're missing, which is finding and again aligned to your values. So it has to be a hemp supplier. It has to be somebody who has the right ingredients, all the things you mentioned. Like and I actually firmly believe that there's groups out there that would either retool their existing product to fit your needs, or may even have something close enough that you can actually use it right out of the box.
Yes, I totally agree with you, Emery. There's actually one of the blogs that I wanted to, target and get in the conversation going. They actually like started out selling other people's things, and they only recently, launched their own cannabis products. And I think obviously it's through the knowledge that they acquired through the tea that they had over the years.
Yeah, that's brilliant. You've got a couple of questions from the audience. So Chandrika said, fascinating, lovely presentation, Filiano. My question is, how would you go about developing a recipe for these beverages? Do you have a sample ready yet? And also, how do you regulate the concentration of CBD content in each drink so it's safe? So I think this sort of question's kind of been answered by the fact that you're going to probably find a partner that can do the science side for you. And
yes.
Yeah, awesome. And then really great way of explaining the differences comes from the Accelerator crew. Great job, Thula, comes from Himani. Rachel Sid, great presentation, Thula, very informative. Yeah, I thought it was wonderful how you broke everything down, and you made it, you made it understandable, which is really impressive, because it's a complicated field, right? And I think the one thing that you said that I love is the avatar that you're focusing on. So people that, which isn't really talked about. A lot of people like see CBD products and they have no idea, like, why should I do this to get high? But you're saying, no, it's to relax your body, help you with you're reducing anxiety and sleep. I think that's brilliant, because that's an amazing niche market to target, is like people that are having a hard time sleeping. I didn't even consider like that's a great reason to take a CBD drink. It didn't even occur to me until you brought it up. And I would imagine there's other people in that ballpark as well. In fact, the next time I need to sleep, I'm going to probably go try that. So, and then Carla says, yeah, I will. Yeah. So Carla says, I have seen other CBD infused beverages here in SA before, but never tried it. Have you checked out and done any of the research on what's already in the market? That's a great question, Carla.
Yes, thank you for the question, Carla. I've seen it, but I don't know if they originate in South Africa, right? The ones that I've seen. I've seen 5, that I was like, okay, this is as close, like this is something I can use as inspiration. So what I would want to set myself apart from is, and I actually took your advice from last, is that in making my decision on which edible am I going to choose, right? I must make sure that it's a South African, feel, or that South Africans love, or it's African origin, right? So the definitely is that it would speak to a South African market. So the two options that I have right now is that I wanted to do an iced tea, right? And using rooibos. And rooibos is actually also very popular for calming effects and therapeutic, capabilities that it has. And it doesn't have caffeine and all of those. And it's also only grown in South Africa, right? So I thought that is the way I can make myself different. Or I can do ginger beer. I know ginger beer is not already from South Africa, but I know it's part of the South African culture. So I have these two beverages. Making myself different is making sure that it speaks to the South African culture. And these are the two options. Obviously, I'm going to have to pick one. But yeah, that's how I plan on making myself different.
Have you looked at the one of the other teas that I love here is it's the honeybush, right? I know that Mandela Tea sells rubus and then honeybush. Have you looked at honeybush as another sort of infused sort of flavor you could look at? Because I love it. I mean, I love rubus too, but maybe take a look at it. I'll send you a I'll send you a like a snapshot of the samples that I've gotten. But if you look at Mandela teas, there's the honeybush and there's the rubus. But I think they're both native plants of parts of South Africa. So anyway, just wanted to give you that heads up that there might be a third one there for you. I've actually seen some cannabis products here, some CBD products, and they are South African, but they're not South African culturally. So a lot of the ones that I've seen, they seem very American to me. Like just even the vibe, it's very sort of Americanized kind of style. So one of the things when you describe like the packaging and you describe like the ingredients, I think you have an opportunity to like really come in and do like a very authentic, culturally significant sort of version of the beverage in South Africa that hasn't been done yet. Because I've actually seen I've spent a lot of time hanging out in different parts of Cape Town, and it's a foodie sort of city. So there's lots of different places that sell CBD's product, and I'm always fascinated with like what's in the market. So I have seen quite a few beverages, but nothing like what you're describing so far. So I think you still get an opportunity, and even if there were a few products that were similar, it doesn't mean you can't get into that market. I mean, how many different waters are there, right? How many different pops and juices are there? There's thousands, right? So yeah, great job.
Thank you.
A couple more comments. Obakeng says, love the presentation. How do you see your product's growth trajectory with the gradual adoption of cannabis in South Africa? How do you see the product's growth trajectory? So do you see this being an explosive market? Do you see it being pretty like short, slow and steady? Or what are you thinking in terms of like the market demand?
So there's a lot of work in terms of the education, and that's why I led my presentation in terms of education. And because there's that misconception of THC and CBD, I think it will definitely hinder the growth. So it's going to be a very gradual growth. It's not going to be like a boom market. And also the legislation also doesn't make it easy. So I definitely see the growth. I mean, only after. So the master plan, they haven't really improved much. So that then says the legislation, they will commercialize it maybe late next year. And then there's still the education that we need to work with. So if I'm being, what can I call it? If I'm being prudent about and I'm being the next 4 years, it can be a bull market. But that's not to say that right now we can't do the gradual improvements, especially in the education part and promoting it in a South African way.
So currently, then, Tula, you are not able to actually produce, but you can still sell because, as others were saying, that there is cannabis product in, sorry, not cannabis, CBD product in the market, right? But are they imported then?
Yeah. Yes, that's true. So most of them import the pure like CBD oil or the powder, and then they can do the whole construction of the product in South Africa. The problem in South Africa is growing your own cannabis and then processing it in South Africa. That's what's currently not allowed.
Right.
Well,
Understood.
it is. It's just there's very strong measures around it because it's only medical grade and it's also destined for export markets and not necessarily in South Africa. It's just so, yeah.
Okay, no, that's fair enough, and you have to walk that line, right? It's those legal red tapes. But I would suggest what Emery suggested. I second that follow that path and maybe just find a product that's already maybe curate few things and then start there. That way you can actually make a little bit of, you can build that community, you can sell the products, you can make some profit, and then once it's legalized, you can reinvest those profits to then make your own product, as Emery was saying. But we have a short time, so I think that's something that's doable. That just kind of curating and reselling, really.
Thula, there's a couple of other.
That definitely makes a lot of.
Yeah, sorry guys, I think there's a bit of lag, but yeah, I think Susahash had a great comments for you. But you have a couple of other questions here from the audience too. So Andreas says, great presentation. I just have one question. What about the taste? Is there a strong taste, or is it just soft back taste? Soft back taste. Soft back taste. That's an interesting term.
Oh no, it doesn't have. So the taste will obviously be derived from the flavor that I choose, whether I'm going to do the honey bush, the rooibos, or actually the ginger beer. That's the taste that's going to be. CBD doesn't have taste. It's an oil, just a bland
you can't really taste it.
It doesn't really taste like anything. Right. Yes.
Yeah, you're imagining somebody smoking marijuana, but it's not like that at all. I've had it, and I'm like, I was disappointed actually, quite disappointed. It doesn't taste like smoking marijuana.
It's not the same thing.
I vote for the ginger beer.
Oh, you vote for the ginger? Let's actually try that. And the other three.
my thing.
Because Susas is Jamaican, so don't listen to him. He's Jamaican. He's just giving you his Jamaican.
What? Well, I have no idea where that came from, but sure.
But I mean,
that's where ginger beer is originally, famous.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay. Yeah. I first had it in Toronto at a friend's house, and I just fell in love since then. So, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I'm
giving you some cultural lessons here.
Thank you. Learn,
ginger beer,
you live and learn.
Jamaica.
Right? That's
Bob
awesome.
Marley. There you go.
All right. Wow. So, Emery and Susash, we got to move along here. Tula,
sure.
Thank you so much. Your presentation was fantastic. I'm super looking forward to what else you've got, since apparently these guys were excited enough to not let me ask questions in half an hour that we were here for it. But I look forward to seeing what else comes up from your side of the camp on this.
Thank you so much, Paul, about your friends not allowing you to ask questions.
I'm here by choice. You don't have to apologize. If anyone should feel sad, it's me.
Great job. Awesome work.
Thank you, Tula.
Bye.
The
Wow.
presentations today have been awesome.
Yeah, I'm like, it's been like everybody's hitting it out of the park. It's crazy. I'm like, what happened, guys? Like, how did this happen? No, it's a great thing to see. Yeah, I'm very, very impressed. And this is the first presentation, guys. Like, I'm expecting them to be really raw, and then us to kind of have to, you know,
I think
be a
it'll
lot
only
more.
get better from here. Like, it's already at a high bar. We're just gonna go up from there.
Great job, EIRs. Very impressive. Everybody's been, you know, really good. I feel bad for the one person who doesn't show up and well, putting a lot of pressure on the last presentations, I think. But you know.
And it's always interesting that, like, once you have, like, certain fundamentals, like, the presentations have been pretty solid, but then it gets into the point of nitpicking. Then it's, okay, well, it's got to be, like, 12 or 15 slides, or it's got to be, like, sub 8 minutes. Like, if we've got 30 minutes for a conversation, you know, you do sort of, like, the rule of thirds on that side, right? Like, you have 8 or 10 to kind of portray everything about the business. So it's generating as much knowledge as possible, and then being able to reduce that down into something that's concise and easy for someone that hasn't done this before. Like, I know one of our companies is dealing in, like, outdoors wear and, like, apparel on that side. And, like, I don't know anything about that, but within 10 minutes, I should be able to be told, like, okay, I understand the market. I understand this. I understand the approach, what they're doing. And that level of, like, explanation. I think that was an old high school adage for us, wasn't it? Is that as soon as you can teach someone in a very simple way the same concepts that you're learning, then you genuinely understand what you're doing. And that's sort of the next step out of this, right? It's how do you become the subject matter expert, but how do you explain it to someone that's a little bit of an idiot like me?
Well, you know what? I mean, that's a great point. I think, like, the art of great presentations of storytelling is making it so that your audience could be 8 years old or 60 years old, and they would both enjoy it, right? Like, they would both get something out of it. So you definitely want to make sure that you're really spending time to simplify your message.
Yep. Shout out to the Reddit subreddit of Eli 5. That, you know, the whole concept is to explain things like you were 5. Any concept, any idea, whatever else. There's a whole community that's built around it. It's fantastic. Huge fan.
Brilliant.
But it absolutely is, because I think that's
can
really
you put
important.
the thread up for people?
I'll send it over in Slack for anything.
No, I mean, put it up on the screen. Screen.
Yeah. Well, let me see what it actually is. Hold on.
Not everybody's in our Slack channel, Paul.
Oh. Yeah, let's just all not talk while I sit and type this out. It's fine.
Well, we want that sort of silent, like, we're building up, you know, this
the suspense.
Suspense, exactly. That's the word. Yeah, we're building up suspense for you.
Oh, yeah,
you know?
That's exactly what we want.
Or we could just do we could do awkward silence, just for 15 minutes. Maybe?
Oh, yeah, that's
10, 15 minutes.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Why you figure out how to type? You know, you learn how to type.
Look, man, I know that you're sitting there. You get to coast through these broadcasts. You just get to talk. You're making coffee. You changed hats multiple times. There's actual work going on here.
I know. It's like I feel like when you decided to take it over, I'm like, what a sucker. I'm like, awesome, thank you.
So currently on the top of the page for the subreddit is the amount of energy or force needed to break a car from 100 to 50 bigger than the amount needed to break from 50 to 0? Why instant ramen can be cooked instantly with only hot water, but pasta needs minutes to cook? How can a solar flare destroy all electronics but not kill people or animals or anything else? Like, it's just like these general, like, fascinating questions that, like, experts, people that actually have expertise in the field, explain it like you're 5 years old. It's fantastic.
That's brilliant. Yeah, I'm definitely hanging out on there later on this weekend.
Yeah, and they only have 19.6 million members.
Wow.
Well, 19.61 million now, or whatever.
6 million and one, yes.
6 million and one. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Let's get our next victim in. I mean, our next EIR in. Let's go. Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Hey guys,
Nice to see you. Happy Friday.
nice to see you too.
You were probably in the back there going, man, when are these guys going to shut up? Like, so I can get on. Like, what is going on here? This is not cool. I was thinking
No,
that too, but I was like, I can't shut
not at
myself up.
all.
That's the problem.
I mean, it's gonna be really inconvenient when we start broadcasting like the actual meetings that we have as coaches. Like Emery and I, we booked 60 minutes to have a 9-minute conversation, and like
Yeah.
it's super time ineffective, but like it's a little bit of a break from everything. So it's
true.
very much
It's true.
like us. But I'm
It
super excited.
goes in so many different directions. Just
Absolutely.
all over the place.
Tangents are our jam. But I'm super looking forward to your presentation. Are you screen sharing today?
Yes, I am.
Fabulous.
Okay. Which window do I want to share? Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see it on my side. So you just want to switch over to your presentation. It should say moonshots. You got the same thing?
Yeah.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to hop out and the stage is yours.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Ntavi Singh, and today I'm going to be giving a presentation on my project/product called Moonshots. It's a healthy candy for biohackers. So before I get into the product itself, I just want to explain what biohacking is. So essentially, biohacking is when you make small changes to your lifestyle to improve your well-being. So in the same way you'd hack a computer to gain access to data, or maybe like you want to overclock the speed so that it's faster, or hacking a website to get certain functionality, you do the same, but you're doing it to your body. So you want to gain access to certain functions that basically make you a bit more optimal. So I know hacking, usually it's a bad thing. You know, people hack into accounts and they like steal your money, but then this time around, we're hacking for a good cause. Some examples of biohacking include meditation, and that's where you kind of want to hack your mind and your body. Some people would meditate maybe to reduce anxiety or to gain better focus or to sleep better. Another way of performing biohacking is through your diet or food. And that's when you would eat certain foods so that you can activate certain functionality within your body. So, or not eat. So for example, you could do fasting or intermittent fasting rather, where you eat within a certain period and then you don't eat for a certain period. So maybe you could do, I don't know, 18 hours where you don't eat and then you have a 6-hour window to eat. Or another way you can do it via your diet is to eat specific foods. So you could eat foods that are rich in vitamin E and antioxidants, foods that are hydrating, and you could do that for the purposes of getting better skin or combating acne or stuff like that. And another way of biohacking is through technology. So earlier I spoke about meditation as one of the examples. So you could get an app that guides you through your meditation, or an app that reminds you to practice gratitude throughout the day. And in that way, you'll have a better mood and you'll be more positive and thus more productive, having better days. While I was looking at some of these examples, I came across another example for tech where it's wearable technology. So there's a tech professional, he's based in the UK. His name is Liviu Babbitt, if I'm not mistaken, and he created wearable technology. So it's a small little chip, or like a square thingy that you just put on your chest, and then each time you face the north direction, it vibrates a little bit. So the intention behind that is to get a better sense of of direction and give you better spatial awareness. It's called North Sense, and I think it was pretty cool. So a lot of things are happening in the biohacking space that are really interesting. And that brings me to my product. It's called Moonshots, and it's a sweet or candy that's packed with vitamins. It promotes oral health, and it tastes good. So a 3-in-1 basically. And you might be asking why do something like this. So currently, stationery items that exist, particularly sweets and candy, they contain harmful ingredients. They have too much sugar and they have a lot of artificial additives, which are really unhealthy. When I was looking at the confectionery industry and some of the ingredients, that I was shocked to find that when they make gum, one of the things that they use is artificial fabric. Well, not all of them. The one that I saw, they use artificial fabric and they dissolve it using antioxidants, and sometimes they actually use paraffin for that. So yeah, sometimes when you're eating gum, you might potentially be eating something that was processed using paraffin and has artificial fabric. Another reason is that there are very few options, health options for candy. So when you look around, the ones that exist are usually based candy, and also you have more savory options than sweet options. And the few options, they don't really taste that good. So I think there's a market for this because it doesn't really exist. And also people are now more health conscious. So a lot of people are more conscious of what they put into their body. And people exercise more and they just want to take better care of themselves. And one of the articles I read stated that there's a $1.5 trillion market in terms of the healthy, conscious, healthy lifestyle space. In addition to that, the biohacking market is currently worth $18 billion and is projected to reach $63 billion by 2028. So there's a good market out there. And if we dive a little bit deeper into the product, the intention is that the functions of the product are going to be anti-inflammatory, it's going to be a lubricant for the throat, it's going to be antibacterial and promote healthy bacteria. And also just a nice alternative for candy or sweets that's healthy and tastes good. The target audience that I've identified is voice coaches, podcasters, YouTubers, TV hosts, speakers, and generally everyone really, because every now and then you find yourself needing to make a presentation. Like right now, I think I could use Moonshots. But besides that, you also sometimes want to lubricate or you want to freshen up your mouth. And I think a healthy product that can do that for you would be something good. And the product itself, I'm thinking that it could be a throat spray, or it could be some sort of a syrup that you can put in your tea, or you can add it to warm water. And I think this would be good for people like TV hosts or artists, and they could do that while they prep their voice. I also was thinking that the product could come in the form of mints, something quick that you can pop in your mouth and it freshens you up, as well as gum. In terms of how we're going to get the product out to the people, I'm thinking we can approach voice coaching companies, and they could obviously promote that to the clients that they work with. We could create an e-commerce website and sell the product there. Or instead of creating our own e-commerce from scratch, we can partner with a couple of companies that I've identified. One is HVMN, which stands for Health via Modern something. I forgot what the N stands for. So they are an e-commerce store and they predominantly sell supplements. So they didn't have candy or gum. So I think our product could tie in well there. Another company that I identified is called Health Snack Solutions, and they have a lot of savory snacks, so they don't have too much sweet stuff there. So I think our product could be a good addition there. And then another one is called Neuro. They predominantly sell gum and mints, and I think adding our product would tie in well with what they already have. Another way we can put our product out to market is via social media and using influencers. So a lot of people online, they post sort of healthy lifestyle-esque content. So I think we can leverage off the audience that they already have and put our product out there. And one interesting one that I also thought of was working with dentists. Given that our product would function for, well, the product function would be antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, a probiotic of some sort, I really think that dentists would also be interested in something like this because they take care of our smiles and oral health. So I think it would be a product that they would be curious and potentially interested in. In terms of our competition, there are two companies identified. So the first one is Entertainer's Secret, and it's a throat spray. And the other one is Vocal Ease, which is also a throat spray. And I think they also have lozenges, if I'm not mistaken. So Vocal Ease has more natural and organic ingredients. Entertainer's Secret, that as well, but then I think the ingredient list has these, these names that are just so academic that you can't really pronounce. So I don't think in terms of an organic ingredient list, they meet the standard that I think Moonshots would meet. And then Vocal Ease does have organic ingredients, but then they're very few and they don't cater for things like antibacterial and promoting good bacteria like Moonshots would. In terms of the next steps, I'm thinking of approaching potential partners, those e-commerce sites that I've mentioned, speaking to dentists as well, seeing if this would be something they would potentially be interested in, looking at the manufacturing process and the costs therein, and speaking to some of the influencers that I've already identified and start posting on the social media accounts that I've already created. So yeah, that's it. That's Moonshots. Thank you for listening. And these are some of the research links that I can share with you if you want to read up on biohacking any further. Thank you.
Great job. Wow. Awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you very much, Natalia. That was really well done. Very impressive. Love the, again, very educational, teaching us about biohacking and great examples of biohackers and what they, what other types of products are out on the market. One of the things I loved about your presentation, I'm going to give you credit for, is your ability to niche down immediately. I think it's really hard for us entrepreneurs to pick a lane. It's been a challenge for me my whole life, which is probably why I'm where I am. But basically, it's hard, right? You always want to kind of capture the whole market. And, in the beginning you started with biohackers, and that's obviously like a massive market. Like there's 1,000 ways you could biohack or whatever. And then it's like, so what are you going to start with? Because, healthy candy is one thing, but like, what's the, what are you going to be able to give somebody that's going to immediately give them the benefits you mentioned or the results? And so the fact that you picked a niche and you kind of stuck to it, and identified it, I think was really impressive. Just this sort of idea of, okay, well, I'm going to start with people that, are going to get the benefit of this healthy candy that helps them with their throat and their voice and all that fun stuff. So great job. Yeah, that was impressive. I think, again, my big concern, or maybe it's a question and a concern at the same time, is have you thought through the go-to-market within the time frame that you've been given? So, the big challenge here is that we want to see something launch within the next 2 to 3 months, right? To give you some time for customer development. And manufacturing is not easy, and it's not easy for a first-time entrepreneur, and it's definitely not going to be easy in that time constraint. And you also have some financial constraints as well, because you don't have a lot of money to play with, right? So what are you going to do about that? I guess is the question.
Yeah, that is a concern. I think there might be a lot of research going into this just to create the right formula that works well, has all the elements that I'd like the product to have, as well as taste good. So that definitely is a concern, which is why I want to start looking into that process, what it looks like, how much it would cost if I could maybe manufacture only a few items currently, and then maybe use the revenue to pump up the manufacture. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking if initially it's too expensive, I could, try to strike deals or partnerships, or also just manufacture only a few products, just enough so that I can, create more at a later stage.
Okay.
Natabi, what's your background? Are you someone who's a cook who can create stuff? Because I know I am not. I'm the opposite.
You're a professional eater.
Yeah.
You're a professional taster.
Professional eater. That's right.
So I don't like cooking, number one, but I'm very health conscious. So I only cook now because I just want to know what I'm eating, and
Right.
the easiest way is for me to make my own food. I mean, I'm not opposed to experimenting and creating the product myself, but
Right.
ideally I'd rather outsource that. I'm more into tech. Yeah, if anything, I'd rather create the e-commerce website.
I get it.
Yeah, I think Natabi, your background's in software development, correct? And
Yes.
computer science.
Makes sense why she's also a professional eater like myself. We tend to be like that.
Yeah, that's all I know.
Yeah, I get that. No, the reason obviously I asked is that because some people they can, right, and they can just go to their kitchen and put stuff together, and I know I want this, I want that, and they can just build that thing quickly. But yeah, if you, I think your idea is not bad to actually initially make some small amount of product. But then I think you need a co-pilot or someone who's excellent at doing that. And, that would be kind of my suggestion, to find a partner who can help you on that side. And you can focus on the e-commerce, and your partner can help the product. And together you can try it out in the market. But yeah, that's not a bad idea.
All right. Thanks.
Yeah, it's good. Who is your co-pilot? I forget, Natabi. Do you remember who was assigned to you?
No, I don't remember. Was someone assigned? Actually,
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Let's see. Actually, I'll pull it up here. So you are going to be working with Himani and Thula.
Okay.
So I don't know if Himani or Thula, if you're watching, do either of you cook? Put in the chat if you cook.
Maybe Thula, right?
You don't actually have to do that. We don't have to do this live, but maybe reach out to Natabi if you want to volunteer for basically product development duties. If not, Tabby, then let us know, the coaches, so that we can find somebody for you. Okay,
Yep.
because worst case scenario, my mom, if she's watching, she'll volunteer for cooking duty.
Awesome. Thanks. I'll let you know.
She loves baking and stuff. Awesome. Okay, so we'll find somebody for you, seriously though. Thula says,
Tula
I
says
love
she loves-
cooking.
yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I'll
you
just
win.
taste
You
go.
win. You win.
You're all set.
You ask, and
I'll just
the-
taste everything.
There you go. What? Where? Natabi, where are you? Which city? Again, I forget.
Johannesburg.
Johannesburg. Where are you, Tula? Thula? Tula? My God.
I think
so bad.
she's also in Johannesburg now. She was in Cape Town, if I remember.
Oh, okay. If she's in Johannesburg, it'd be awesome, because then you guys can actually meet up and do, sort of samples and stuff together.
Yeah, definitely.
And Hamani says sometimes she likes to cook. So Tula is in Rustenburg.
Okay.
I don't know if that's close or
I
don't know
have
the
no
geography.
frame of reference for this.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here, I'm like, oh yeah, Rustenburg. I'm like, it's just down the street. That's fantastic. No idea.
It's not far, but it's a drive.
Fair enough. Well, I know that we'll be able to figure out
Yeah.
something here.
Yeah, Carla's volunteering to do some taste testing with the rest of the crew, so she's nearby as well. Yeah, it's about an hour and a half drive, so you're gonna have to make it all day
Yeah.
affair. It's basically an event at that point, right? It's like it's a you got to take everybody out for dinner after, and all sorts of stuff.
Wow.
But sure, we'll figure it out. We'll get something organized for you. We'll do
Right.
a Darkhorse product development lab or something for you, so you can get that.
I like that.
So
Darkhorse
actually-
product development lab.
I actually really like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, go get a nice commercial
Yeah.
kitchen for a few hours and just be like, everyone,
Yeah.
go.
Yeah,
Don't
just
catch
go
anything on
crazy.
fire.
Yeah, so I actually, now that you've said it, I actually think out of all the presentations I've heard, I think you may be okay to actually have time to do product development. And the reason why is because I think candy is a little lower barrier to, like I get scared when it's like when you have to import CBD product and figure all that stuff out too, because there's so much rigmarole with that. And then if you're trying to, like, there's a lot of things that I think it's going to be really hard to produce in the amount of time that we have, but I actually think you could probably produce a decent candy in a month or two, right? Like a all natural reverse engineer, I guess, those other two products, or at least the natural ingredients in them, and sort of see how to put the right ingredients that's going to naturally coat your throat and give you that sort of a benefit. So I definitely endorse you making the attempt, but I would also give yourself a plan B. See if you can find somebody out there that you could also maybe they could manufacture it for you, or you could actually get a product that you could, again, private label just to start. Because I think what's unique about how you're presenting is you don't have to present it like you didn't have to present it the way you did, but because you are, I think the branding can be really powerful for you. This idea of biohacking, like, I think it's really sexy. It's really interesting. Like, people are going to be like, oh, cool, I'm biohacking myself. Like, as opposed to, you could just be like, yeah, this is like a throat lozenge, like, big deal, like you could, so I think that there's some advantages to the way that you're marketing.
Yeah.
That you don't necessarily need an original product to start, and then, like you said, take the revenue, reinvest it in your own products, right? Like, which is what some of the other EIRs are doing. So give yourself a couple of options would be my challenge to you, or my recommendation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
like sort
I'll
of
keep that
explore
in
both paths.
mind.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's lots of options. There's lots of paths that you can go with. Pick one product to start. Pick a couple flavors that you like, or most people like. Don't start with licorice. But, like, the parameters are, like, just kind of build something that makes you really happy and that you're really proud of. And it's always easier to sell or to pitch people when it's like, this is orange. This is what it does. This is the biohacking, back end of it. And, like, I love this. Like, this is something that makes me really, really happy, and I'm really proud of to put out. Like, I know that everyone else on the call or the coaches will agree with me that it's always so much easier to sell something when you actually believe in it. And like, I've had sales jobs where it's just like, oh no, like, just and you kind of just like go through the motions and whatever else. But when you have as much flexibility as you do with your products and with like the methodology and how you approach it, like just genuinely look at it like what makes you happy? What's going to be awesome? What are you going to be proud of? What will you not shut up about to every person that you meet because you're so thrilled with what you've created? Like that honestly, I think should be, you know, the main goal sort of in actually looking at product development. Like do the best representation of you, your joy, your happiness into the product, and like you'll be totally fine. Like you've got a great personality for it. You're super excited about it. Like just make sure the product lines up with that, and it'll be great.
It's great advice.
Definitely.
Yeah. Pick the path that's going to make you happy. Yeah. Because, I mean, it's a long haul, right? To Paul's point. It's like entrepreneurship is, I mean, I think that's one thing that we'll all get out of this program by the end of it. You'll see, I mean, you know, 6 months is not a lot of time, but it is a long time. And, you know, it's just the beginning. Like that's literally just the start of the journey, right? For any, you know, any brand that you want to really get into market. So, so you have to enjoy the journey, I think, is the moral of that story, which
You
means
have
that
to.
you want to start out on the right foot for sure.
Well, I've absolutely I've passed on opportunities. I've not done projects that I was like, look, there's a clear market fit. You know, there's been companies that have come out, you know, a year or two afterwards that, you know, raise millions of dollars and are incredibly successful. But like, I'd be so unhappy doing it. And like this job is so difficult and it's so tough to be self-motivated and to push and to be only accountable to you and your bank account at the end of the day, that like you kind of have to take your wins where you can. And if you can start with things that you actually enjoy, well, it makes the rest a little bit easier. Also, you can tell that I have learned my lesson as well as Emery because we have no more hair.
Exactly.
Apparently, I have not.
Yeah, Susash is still yet to learn all the lessons that Paul and I have.
I'm still young.
See, software engineers, they're a little bit insulated from everything else. It's beautiful, and it's a luxury that comes with the field.
All right, thank you so much for the advice. I'm excited to actually start creating the product and tasting and selling. I'm excited.
Well, I think you've got 3 more volunteers here for tasting. So
yep.
Anything you want to send to me, I will happily taste it for you and give you honest feedback on. And guess what? We're like all live streamers, so we're kind of like podcasters, you know. So we kind of fit the model. You know?
We talk for 2 hours straight. Yeah, I did some moonshots.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the presentation. It was awesome.
Yeah. Great job.
Thank you, guys.
And we'll talk to you soon.
Great work. Talk soon.
Cool. Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Wow. Okay. Well, guys, awesome job, EIRs. Like you guys definitely met the challenge of last Tuesday. I was like worried. I was like, oh my God, we're going to have the Tuesday crew and they knocked it out of the park. And then we have Friday and who knows what's going to happen. But you know what? You guys delivered. I'm really impressed. Yeah. Everybody clearly put work into their presentations, clearly, you know, came with like their A game because, you know, like a lot of the information you shared was well-researched, very thoughtful. Everybody had strategy. Everybody had, you know, even like some of the stuff too, Natalia was talking about with partnerships, you know, she thought through, you know, and identify specific partners and why they would make sense. And, you know, so awesome across the board, guys. Really, really great job. I'm very excited about these projects. I actually feel like every project I couldn't say this. We did the pilot before this where we didn't actually do it live, but we sort of had some groups that came in to sort of stress test a bit of the programming. And I could say that, you know, I didn't really believe a lot of the companies and ideas were going to potentially succeed. I was worried about them all because I just felt like I couldn't understand the strategy. Whereas here, like across the board, everybody's strategy, I feel like they have a chance, you know, in the market. And that's all you want is a chance, you know. You're not going to necessarily win every time, but you want a fighting chance. And I think everybody here has a good approach. You know,
yeah,
so great job.
And I think it's a lot of the nuance, at least from our side. And, you know, maybe we should have been more clear up front, but since we're done, I'll happily, you know, give a bit of insight into my perspective that I want to sit here, and it doesn't matter the traction or if you have a product or whatever else. Like at this point in where we are in the program, I'm really looking at it like I want to be able to feel like you're the subject matter expert, right? Like when we're listening to, I honestly feel about every EIR we've had so far, I genuinely think that they have the information, whether it's, you know, bureaucratic and political and permitting, or even if it's, just the logistics, the market, the competition. Like if you have that base level of information and knowledge, like great. The big thing that I know that we're looking at in the next week or two is going to be slowly transitioning that into what, execution and tangibility.
Right.
So it's been a very similar theme throughout most of them. And that's fantastic. Like most companies are about the same. And I think sort of from this point onwards, companies are going to develop at different rates, right? Like whether it's candies and sprays and whatever else, like those are all 4 separate products in 4 different niches. I don't know which one's better. I don't have that data, and one could work and people hate it, and one you think is awful, but people love it. And like there's all the permutations of execution that come through that, including logistics, supply chain, processing, manufacturing methodology, and all of those really like it's unfun, honestly. Like it's the worst part of any business is usually what I do for a living because it's all very specific. And that's okay, because as soon as you set yourself up to do it properly one way, if you say, okay, well, this vendor will scale with me, this won't, you can start to piece together a little bit of a blueprint for how you actually do this. Because, as an entrepreneur, at one point or another, you have to make money. So the reason that I know that Emery has been pushing his perspective in, getting something, white labeling, redistributing, whatever else, it's for cash flow. It's, when you're working on a project and you don't have money and you're under deadline, or if you can't afford your bills or you're bleeding cash every month or whatever it is, you can't stay focused on what you're doing. It's always that fear. It's always, what am I going to do if this doesn't work and whatever. And like, that's all a huge problem. So it's about taking baby steps and investing the least amount of time to generate return. You're slowly removing risk and liability through each of the steps, right? You don't want to go into manufacturing and say, well, I need dies, I need this, I need volume orders so that it's economically feasible. Like all of those things are great, but launching a business with $500,000 is vastly different than launching it with $500. Yeah. And you can do both, and doing it lean and for that $500, it's time and energy in how you put it together. So how do we, one of our goals as a team, and we talked about this when we were coming up with the program too, is how do we make sure that you can create a methodology that you actually start generating cash for yourself sooner? Because as soon as you don't feel like you need to have a full-time job and you can afford your expenses and like you're slowly getting there, then you can slowly start building. Like the longer in the market, the better the reputation is, the better the branding is, the better those relationships are. And once you have all of that, then it's much easier to launch a bigger thing, a new thing, a different thing, whatever it is. Like it's all part of like a very slow moving, albeit very fast feeling process, is just taking these steps pretty consistently and deliberately at that point. So as we sort of go into this execution phase, I recommend you reach out to coaches, people that are similar interests, people that have no interest. Like I always love saying that I have no idea what I'm talking about. Like pitch to me and explain to me like I'm an idiot, because it really helps me understand the granularity of what we're looking to do. So like reach out to the coaches, have a conversation, work through some problems. It's not helpful to come to us and say, hey, I don't know how to manufacture this. Like manufacturing is the same for everything. There's some stuff that you turn into other stuff. Pretty much it. But like the steps and the logistics along the way of like, I found 4 people from this, they're from China. I don't know if I should do that. Maybe it does, but they're less expensive. All of those sort of hypothetical questions, that's when we can actually help. It's okay, well, let's sit down, let's work the problem. Let's go through the steps. Let's have those conversations. And like we have some experience, but at the end of the day, let's just do like test orders for $20 a piece instead of doing massive $1,000 orders. There's ways to sort of quantify as you go along, and safety nets that you sit and create for yourself at the same time. Because again, we're trying to protect time and money for every company and every EIR that's here. And if you kind of do most of this, not do all of it, but if you do most of this properly, then you don't waste money. And hopefully you don't waste a lot of time, because anything that you do should be generating skills or a method or awareness of whatever the process is. And, again, like my job has been troubleshooting all of these processes for all sorts of company forever. And it sucks. But it's also
saying that Paul enjoys his job by now, right?
See, and it's one of those really funny things, because I know Emery asked me to do like an entrepreneur like story day where I just kind of like talk endlessly for 20 or 30 minutes about like how I kind of got here. But it's inherently dull. But for me, I don't have the sexy sales job that does everything. Like I've done it, great, whatever. But now it's, I get to solve problems, like very small and very large problems of like varying size, complexity, markets, whatever. I fix things for a living is essentially it. Like I am a general handyman of startups, and like that's kind of cool. Yeah,
Pulp Fiction. Yeah.
It's true.
yeah, I'm okay with that reference. But that's sort of the process that I've gone through, because it's not the fun part of building a company. The fun part is telling everyone about what you do. Like, I 90% of the time my answer is I built spreadsheets this week. But it's very important to kind of start taking those steps, create that blueprint. Yeah. I'm so glad you enjoyed that.
I know. I actually did a few spreadsheets this week too. So I know
The
that's what.
spreadsheets are fun.
Yeah, I actually like spreadsheets now. Yeah, I
See,
used to
and that's what
not like
happens.
them, but I
Like,
do
we're
like
all
them
the
now.
part like, nah, spreadsheets. Like, who is? It's like, no, but the data. Like, have you ever done a VLOOKUP properly the first time? And it's like, I have to tell someone.
That's funny. Yeah. Well, thank you for your rant, Paul. That was great. It was. I'm just teasing, but no, it was actually really. I think you dropped a lot of good nuggets there.
Well,
that
thank
sounds
you.
really weird. You dropped
It
a lot
does.
of really good.
That was not the tagline I was hoping for on that. Like, Paul
Golden
dropping great
nuggets.
nuggets all week at Darkhorse. Like, maybe not. Maybe you have a marketing background. Maybe help me out here.
Blowing minds all week at Darkhorse. There you go. That's the best I can do right now.
Always good with the Mr. Wolf reference. I appreciate that.
Yes, I figured you would. I knew that would probably resonate.
Yeah.
So I think, okay, quick housekeeping, because we want to get everybody out of here. That was, I think this is an awesome session. Everybody, I think, took away some stuff. We are moving now into, as Paul put it in a great way, we're moving into execution mode. There's two ways to execute. One way is you're going to be executing product development. The other way, you're going to be executing market development. We talked about it a week ago or whatever it was. I recommend going in reverse order. So you're developing your market first, then you're getting your customers to buy in, and then you're building the product accordingly. So you're going in the opposite direction. That typically happens. I know that everybody still has to think about product development, but you really want to figure out ways to get in front of the market and the customers as quickly as possible. So next week, we're going to be doing a bunch of training around market and customer development. Okay. If you need help on product in the background, that's not going to be covered until a few weeks later. So you want to come proactively and get some bespoke help from specific coaches. So if it's technology concerns, talk to Susahash. If it's operational concerns, logistics concerns, probably talk to potentially myself, potentially talk to Paul, depending on what the product or the nature of the product is. Talk to obviously Carla and Zavash with the marketing stuff. They're going to be involved in the training with myself on that stuff. So it should be really exciting. We're going to try to give everybody some actionable ways to get in front of the market and customers as quickly as possible and as inexpensively as possible. So that's going to be the goal for the next couple of weeks, is to just get everybody out there having conversations with customers, starting to develop partnerships, starting to refine their pitches essentially to the customer. And then in the background, you're going to be, continuing to explore building those wonderful products that you've introduced us to. So yeah, this is going to be a fun couple of weeks. And we'll see everybody next Tuesday. Have an awesome weekend.
Yep. See everyone next week.
Have a good weekend, everyone.
Thanks very much,
you.
Paul. Susash, it was awesome hanging with you, as always.
As always.
Yeah, that was all right.
I had fun. No complaints.
Yeah, we had a good time, I think. Yeah, it was good. Awesome, guys. Okay, we'll see you later.
Thank you.
Bye,
Take
Susash.
care, Bye.
Mr. Wolf,
Bye,
see you.
Paul.
Cheers.
Bye, guys.